Griffin, and she is responsible for the content. The producer also acknowledges that this program is not endorsed by and is not expression of AMP, Santa Barbara channels, or community-minded TV, nor any cable service provider, nor any cities or agencies providing financial support for AMP, the Santa Barbara channels, or community-minded TV of Spokane. No one other than the named producer is accountable for any of the material presented. And for more information this program, you can contact Annie Griffin at 831-420-2066 or Brian Rosen at 805-969-2837. We're going to be watching a roundup that took place in January of 2011 in Ely, Nevada, in 12 below degree weather in the morning. $89 million of our tax dollars are going to round up these wild horses and burros, while 600 meat inspectors will be laid off this year. This is 2014. These roundups are going on as we speak, and it's all because of your meat-eating habit. And the beef industry, the livestock industry, the oil and gas, we're getting our karma, folks. And a great sickness is coming to us now, Ebola. And it's all part of the karma for what we are doing to the animals. This disease, Ebola, is passed on through animals. So, as mad cow is, and diverticulitis, and many, many other diseases. So I hope that you're going to start thinking about going vegan, and you're going to start thinking about being less cruel to animals. If you are an animal eater, that you are going to lobby your meat industry to use humane gases such as nitrogen instead of CO2. Otherwise, your karma's coming, and it's coming in a really horrendous, horrible way for all of us. Not just through war, but through our own lack of kind.
Craig Downer, and I'm a my name's Craig Downer, and I'm a wildlife ecologist, and I honor the horse as a returned native here in North America and here in Nevada, my home state. You have to realize that the wild horse is not the same as a slave horse or a domestic horse. It's a horse that's living as its ancestor did for millions of years, and it's returning to its truer nature out here in the land of its origin and long-standing evolution. So what's wrong with this? They are an asset to the ecosystem. They help reduce the dry, flammable vegetation, and their droppings help to build the soil. They also help to seed the plants, and they contribute to the food chain. So what's the problem? Why are they all this negativity and saying, oh, there's too many, they do this and that because they go take a drink and because they eat their food? It's just discrimination, negativism, and the Bureau of Land Management also controls mining on public lands, and as well as the ranching and the off-road vehicles, but they will often allow them to really rape the resources. They'll allow huge developments to support the cattle and sheep ranching, huge subsidies. They'll also allow tremendous open pit mines that allow cyanide heap leaching and drain the water tables. So We're just asking for fairness. And you know, the law says that they shall be the principal presence where found in 1971. And that's just not happening. They're being marginalized. And they're not getting their fair share out here. So my proposal is reserve design for naturally self-stabilizing populations and not over gathering, excessive gathering, which is now occurring. Right. And these are not, they're setting these horses up for inbreeding because there's too few left. Okay. That's my opinion.
Eyes open.
I'm trying to locate these horses for you.
And they're all grouped together for safety, see? That's their instinct.
They're grouped together for safety. It's a straggly little herd. I think that's them right there. A straggly little herd, you see?
Just broken, separated into...
Here we have health care issues.
That's a large group actually coming in.
Yeah, I think it's probably 2 or 3 bands.
Right.
Huge deficit. Huge deficit in this country, and this is what they're spending our tax dollars on, folks. Millions of dollars. I don't know how much this particular roundup's costing you. Straggly little herd. It's the symbol of what they're doing.
No, and they're the ones that are living it.
And they have to live it. They have to live this horror. And that's kind of what they're doing to us. And their families will be torn apart forever. The BLM does not allow families to be together. And they castrate the stallions without any pain medication or very little. It's just a pain relaxant. So there you have your American Veterinarian Association. All in the name of humanity. Just too awful.
There's the Judas horse, see?
These will be torn asunder. All with your tax dollars, but not for long. We got to stop it this year, folks. $11,000 horses are scheduled to be rounded up in this area. And that'll probably end them. Be straggly little herds.
And yesterday 12,000.
Oh, 12,000 now.
It was 11, now it's 12.
Now it's 12. That'll finish off this area pretty much.
This area is 700.
Yeah, it's the whole Western United States.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the whole Western United States? I thought it was just...
fire going.
They got a fire going?
Or something. What's all that steam? What's all that stuff?
The steam is heat.
Is that from what?
Either exhaust from the truck or steam off the horse.
If the horses were putting out that much steam, what's this one that's coming up? I'm just wondering because I haven't noticed that before.
And where'd all the horses in the chute go?
Well, they're all massed together there. So
Mashed together, huh? Oh, and guess what? That's a smoke screen, I bet.
Oh, so we can't see?
Yeah. Very clever. I bet that is.
Could be.
That's a beautiful smoke screen, folks.
Picture of it, 'cause I've never seen it
You
before.
can't see anything.
No, it's the steam coming off of it.
See, they've worked up a lot of body heat, if that's the case.
Uh-huh.
So what they'll do is they'll start to go to not like this check. You'll see them here, I'm sure. You know what? So much reflection in the thing. I don't know what's going on, but I can hardly see anything. I mostly see my own reflection on this track. Yeah, I can't really see it. I don't like that channels. I prefer direct view. I understand.
Here comes the horse. That steam you see is from the horses sweating.
Does Chris agree with that? Or is that...
Chris, do you agree with that? He's not saying.
Do what?
That the steam is coming from the horses' backs.
I do believe it is the steam. I will double check.
We don't know what that... He's saying he's going to double check, but he doesn't know.
Well, the easy way to tell is when they load on the trailer and the
What? Can you face me, Laura?
The easy way to tell is when they load on the trailer and the trailer moves, the steam goes with them.
Aha, yes, and we noticed that the steam was coming from the trailer folks as well, so that is what that is.
Oh, right. So, yeah, they probably worked up such a sweat
Yeah.
that it's just steam coming.
Yeah.
You see the trailer right there, that other one down there?
And then this freezes on their body, folks,
Yeah.
plus their lungs are cold. So those horses, many of them may be getting sick, and we'll never know about it.
You can take video and photos.
Okay.
Yeah. At that point, I'll have a better handle on where the horses are going.
And indeed, 7 horses died. They loaded those horses like sardines, and Laura Lay, one of the photographers, followed the truck all the way. It was going 60 miles an hour down the highway, this open trailer. So in 12 below zero weather, this is what the BLM does, and with your tax dollars, folks. While our food security is so lacking, 600 meat inspectors will be laid off, and so this. You have to understand the corruption of our government, what it's doing, how it's wasting our money, and no matter what we say or do, they just do what they want. And it's all because of your meat habit. As long as you are eating burgers and all the things that you love to do, you're allowing them to lobby in Washington, the livestock industry, to utilize your public lands for what they want, even though the horses were allocated this land by law. And all the judges just rule in the favor of the government. So it's a lawless country we live in still. And the only tool we have is to send a big message that we're not going to support these industries anymore. So I ask everyone, please boycott all beef except for beef that's grown on private lands. And you can find out by going to Whole Foods and other health food stores and asking them that you want certification that the beef you buy is raised on private lands, on private ranches, and support those ranches because they're not robbing us of our wild horses or our bison or our predator wildlife. They're not stealing away our public lands, and they're doing it the right way. So I hope that's something that you will do, and I want to thank you again for watching.
Might comment on what he said.
The BLM again is mandated by the 1971 Wild Horse and Burro Free Roaming Wild Horse and Burro Act to maintain healthy herds. We're maintaining healthy herds. Part of that process is to gather the excess horses off the land. We certainly appreciate Mr. Downer's viewpoints and hope that he'll continue to participate in the public process and bring his viewpoints forward. Okay. We listen to those viewpoints as well as those of many other people. A lot of differing viewpoints as we go through the process.
What about when you run? I hear a veterinarian said that when horses are run up to 20 miles, and of course they're zigzagging around by these helicopters, what do you say to the freezing lung that can happen, that happened at Calico? Is that a possibility here?
I wasn't at Calico, and I'm not aware of any freezing lung.
Okay. Yeah. Craig, you might want to comment?
Here, hold on, get the microphone.
Through running, which is very stressful, helicopter chasing, they can cause their alveoli in the lungs to burst, and it can cause severe pneumonia to the horses, and they can die from it. And later, when they get to the holding facilities, they can succumb to respiratory failure.
You've seen this at Calico?
Yes, I have seen this at Calico. But we were in blizzard conditions there about a year ago, and we asked the vet about that, and he tried to minimize it, but the fact is that many of them have succumbed in this freezing weather, and they have died subsequently, days later, when they're brought to the holding facilities.
I'd like to respond to Chris's comment, and I really appreciate that he says that he would like to maintain healthy herds out there, but I think one of the best ways to maintain healthy herds is just to allow the predators to come back, and that would maintain the population levels without having to do these roundups. So the BLM would stop removing the predators because of the pressure from the cattle industry on our Congress. Then none of these there would be absolutely no excuse for doing these helicopter roundups. So let's bring back the predators and let Mother Nature take care of things instead of man. There's plenty of land for Mother Nature to strike a balance out here.
Yeah, it's 11 degrees out here. Aren't these animals admirable that they can survive out here in this stark but beautiful landscape? I want to share with you something else that happened here in the Ely district. Did you realize that a little over a year ago, 1.4 million acres of legal 1971 herd areas in 12 different herd management areas were zeroed out? That is, there's now no more wild horses allowed in these areas, and they tried to get every last one. And there was only 620 there, and then I said, well, but there's always going to be a good number over in the Eagle Complex. That's where we are now. And now they're going to take this number down further. I just think it's unfair that they're giving the hog share of the resources to the livestock, and they're marginalizing the wild horses. They're buckling into the ranchers, and they're not listening to the general public that love these animals. Millions of people love these animals, and they're a great spiritual boost to them. And the animals in their own right deserve our respect, and they deserve a place out here where they can be genetically viable. Okay?
Introduce yourself and what you do.
My name is Laura Lee, and I'm project manager for Herd Watch, and I work for Grassroots Horse, and we're a citizen action group that comes out and takes action. But again, that process of taking action, this process, once you get here today to the roundup, the process for public input and to change what's occurring out here, it's done, it's over. That there's things called RMPs, Resource Management Plans, RAC meeting, Resource Advisory Council meetings. That's where the public needs to be educated, and that's what they need to begin to read and look at if they want to affect change and really advocate for the horses. Here we're documenting what occurs. We're keeping an eye on the horses and trying to kind of educate the public to what occurs here. But this isn't where change is going to occur. Change is going to occur with the public learning about these RMPs, learning about this process, really standing up and becoming that interest for the horses and becoming the voice for the horses, and that's where it'll occur. And I think that's real important. AWHPC, American, let's see, they're wildhorsepreservation.com, and they do alerts all the time and are trying to do a real good job. I've been working with them as well, trying to educate the public in those resource management plans and all those public comment areas.
All right.
Okay? But
you.
they're also listed, so if you go to grassrootshorse.com, there's a links list, and you can go through those links. There's some wonderful websites out there to learn from, some really great information with Equine Welfare Alliance and American Herds, which is another blog that's done, and she has amazing information as well.
Craig Downer feel that it's way too cold for these horses to be run uncertain miles, because you don't even know how many miles they're going to be run, do you?
The exact number of miles?
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure that they will run these, and not actually run these horses, but they will herd these horses a safe and viable distance. They're not going to run these horses, and they're not going to herd these horses or guide these horses an excessive distance.
How can they not run them when they're terrified by these helicopters?
Well, you know, again, you're asking for an opinion. You're trying to bait me, and I'm not going to be baited, and I'm not going to enter a
Not baiting at all. I'm coming from a humanitarian point of view. It's very obvious. It's 4 below 0, and there is that deep ammonia question these horses can get, and to run in this kind of cold is inhumane. And I'm coming from a humane public standpoint. I'm shocked, not at you, Chris. You're just basically doing your job, but I'm shocked that the BLM, Ken Salazar, and President Obama are allowing and putting people like you in this kind of position of cruelty to our public horses. I'm extremely upset about this. This is a horrible, cruel, terrible thing that plight and that we're facing here with these horses. And even vets say that this should not be happening. And so that's what I'm. Yes, and so that's what I'm. Yes, and the question is, would you please call off this roundup today because of the cold, for humanitarian and concerned aspects of these horses?
As you can see right now, we're not gathering horses. We're waiting for the weather to warm up. If and when we feel that the horses would be in any danger at all, we would stop this gather. We don't feel that there is a danger at this point, but again, should we feel that there is a concern, we would stop the gather.
Thank you.
Bring on public land.
Again, this is Chris Hannafeld. He's the public relations for BLM. They did not stop the gather. They weren't concerned, and 7 horses died on that roundup from respiratory failure, as the records show from BLM. So this is where your tax dollars are going, and the Indian prophecy, for whatever you want to believe or not believe, is that from the Ghost Dancer tribe, that when the last of the wild horses are rounded up on our public lands and sent to slaughter, which in my opinion they are, that the America will become a very weakened country. And that's a lot of respect around the world for the way we're warring and just interfering with other countries, and the lack of respect is growing. So maybe we should pay more attention to what our Native American Indians are trying to tell us, and what our horses, our wild horses, are trying to tell us. So I ask everyone to please boycott beef. And the reason I ask that is, if you need to eat meat, go to the health food stores that are buying from private ranches, and just commit to using beef from private ranches, because that way you will save our public lands and all the wildlife on our public lands that rightfully belong to the American people. Since the judges are corrupt, since the government's corrupt, the only tool we have is not giving them our money and starving them out that way. And I know that's a big commitment, but you can do it. And it's pretty easy to do once you commit yourself. So we're going to now hear from Laura Lay, who has done a lot of research on what's going on our public lands. And
in Eureka County here in Nevada, there's a corporation coming in called Eureka Moly. Well, Moly is actually an international company, and for example, they own mines in Australia, South America, all over the place. But when you trace Moly back, Moly is owned by the Bank of China. Okay, that's one part of this. Now, coming into Eureka County here in Nevada, what they're doing is they are going to be using 3/4 of the available water to do this mining project, where they mine a mineral called molybdenum. Molybdenum is high heat, so it's used for things like nuclear reactors, things like that. The way this corporation is set up, for the first 10 years, every piece of ore that comes out of the ground goes direct to China. It's also set up so that it occurs so quickly and so fast that if anything is wrong with what's happening with the way the water is utilized, it's going to be occurring so quickly that you won't be able to correct the problem within the 10 years that China gets all the ore. So it's set up in a very interesting way. They've also put the water into an ag corporation, which is now going to give it to the mine. So if the mine goes under, China still owns 3/4 of the water.
Privatized?
That's how it works.
Do you hear this, people? Is this Senator Reed? Is he part of this?
Yeah, Reed's part of this.
Oh, yeah. Nevadans?
Good old handout.
Oh, boy.
But however, this project, because my interest is wild horses, 3 HMAs are directly affected.
And HMAs are herd management areas.
Are directly affected. The aquifer affects 5 more. So 8 HMAs, 8 herd management areas, will be directly affected by the operation of this mine.
And the pollution of this mine.
And do they have any...
And the water. So when BLM will then talk about multiple use. So you take a decreased water allotment into account when you do their equations to determine AUMs out there for cattle and AUMs out there for wild horses. And so when you now decrease that water, because we now have this mine in another county that's in that aquifer, then the equation for available water and forage is going to go down for wildlife, cattle, and horses. And so then we'll see another decrease in wild horses.
To the world leaders of the Great Council of the United Nations, the Hopi and all original native people have lived on this land for many thousands of years, and the teachings that have been passed on from generation to generation among our peoples contain prophecies, warnings, and religious instructions that are of great significance for everyone. These teachings serve as instructions for what we must do at this critical moment which the modern world now faces. We, the Hopi, have watched closely as each stage in the pattern of world change has unfolded, knowing when to take the next action according to our instructions. So when the prophesied gourd of ashes was dropped on Japan, it was the final confirmation. It was time for the Hopi to act. It was time to reveal our prophecy and spread the message throughout the world.
We all have seen many obstacles develop since the white man came into our midst. Our ancestors from long time ago prophesied these things today. They knew they would happen. Now as we go along year after year, it begins to unfold as they prophesied. Now I believe what they say is true and is now coming about. We have been talking about this to the world for many years, and we are afraid. I guess people don't understand what we're talking about, so maybe not much has been accomplished. We have been talking and traveling to other countries for a long time, but still nobody seems interested enough to act on it.
Our instructions were to seek help from what we now know to be the White House in Washington, D.C. Having been there and having received no help from that source, our prophecy sent us to the house of Micah on the eastern shore, and so we stand before you today.
I was the firstborn to the newly formed village of Hotevilla. I have experienced two views of life, a good life and today's life. At this time, there is nothing that harmonizes with our traditional way of living, and we are not always happy. A long time ago, in the fields and throughout the land, the earth was covered with many flowers. During my younger days, people knew how to care for all creation.
Our uncles and grandfathers have been teaching us many things. Be good to everybody, and in your prayers you must keep in the mind the people and have good hearts. And that way your prayers will be fulfilled. That's why we don't
And I'm going to read to you because this expert comes a little bit too quickly. A time would come when strange animals would pull boxes across the land, wagon trains. Then the boxes would move by themselves, trains and automobiles. They foresaw a silver thread across the land, Highway 66, and spider webs in the sky, telephone and telegraph and microwaves. An eagle would walk on the moon. When the American astronaut Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon from his spaceship, he said the eagle had landed. Two powers would shake the world twice, World War I and World War II. One symbolized by the rising sun, Japan, and the symbol of the other would be the four directions, swastika, Germany. During a great conflict, a gourd of ashes would pour down from the heavens, making the rivers boil and the fish turn on their bellies, atomic bomb. The Hopi received spiritual direction to journey to a place where all the nations of the world would gather, United Nations, and warn them to return to sacred ways. They traveled 3 times to the UN and were turned away. On the 4th visit, Wallace Black Elk was carrying the sacred pipe before them. They were allowed in the building, but not allowed to speak at the General Assembly. The Hopi knew that if they were not permitted to address the gathering of nations, the time of the great cleansing was very near.
Music.
All this is happening right now around the world. More than 40,000 temperature records have been broken in the U.S. so far this year, 2012. May 2012 was the second warmest month ever recorded worldwide and the warmest on record for the Northern Hemisphere. There have been massive forest fires in Colorado, Siberia, and Russian East. Arctic sea ice is melting at a record pace. Temperatures in northern India have been unprecedented. Since 448 C, 118 Fahrenheit. The Amazon River is at its highest level on record. An abnormally strong monsoon in Assam, India, has left many hundreds dead and nearly 7 million homeless. Climatologists think these events are becoming less unusual. Remember, in any given moment, we are making small and large decisions. Each decision is based on love or fear. Choose love, follow your intuition, not intellect, and follow your passion or burning inner desire. Go with the flow. 4 easy steps to surviving earth changes and all the prophecies. Keep your eyes open. Let go of fear. Learn all you can. Live your spirituality.
There's a good chance that if you look high into the heavens tonight, you will be seeing red, as in a rare blood moon. And some people think that that may be a sign of something big, the fulfilling of a prophecy.
Is it my imagination, or have there been a lot of earthquakes recently?
We've had a cluster over the last month.
Whoa! Whoa! Okay.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Earthquake.
Big earthquake right now. A really strong shaker right now.
Ahora sí estamos viendo todo.
Going to listen to the prophecy of a woman who had several dreams, prophetic dreams, what she believed, and in it was a black horse. Horses are our messengers, and we need to listen to them, so I thought this was particularly interesting.
A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and said, "Thou hurt not the oil and the wine." So I did some research on exactly what this meant. And it's talking about a time of famine. Now there are 2 types of famines. There's a type of famine of food. Back then they had to work every day for their food. They got paid just so much, and they, like I said, they had to work for their food every day. And then there's a different kind of famine. It's talking about the word of the Lord's not being shared among the people like it should be. People's not going to be able to find the word of God like they need to. So I don't know exactly which this could have meant. Perhaps both, because after this I did some research on the internet and found that a lot of animals, fish, and birds are dying out all over the world. And California is in a major drought right now. They produce over 90% of the U.S. Food, like vegetables, nuts, and fruits. Okay, so that was all of that vision.
For those who would like to go to her site to see her other dreams, go to Visions of God. Do a search on Google and you can hear some of her other prophecies. So I'm just giving you a collection of the different religions and beliefs of different cultures, and they all seem to be saying the same thing, but human beings just aren't wired to really come to the rescue until it's too late.
This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof.
Good tsunami is coming.
horsemen of the apocalypse.
The end of the age. Some men feel it as a time of destruction, while others welcome it as the ushering in of grace. For ages, they tried to warn us of its coming. They told us both to beware and to rejoice. Over time, this revelation has been rejected, diluted, ignored by all but a few. And the voices of righteous men have been drowned and silenced beneath a tide of wickedness. Years pass, war beget war, greed beget greed, and men laughed, secure in their dominion over the earth. Even as the signs began, great floods, fire, famine, pestilence, they laughed. As it was prophesied, like a thief in the night.
One day, Jesus is coming. You may be at church. You may be at work. You may be asleep. God grant that you will be ready when He makes His personal appearance. My God, what if His appearance occurred on a Sunday morning? My prophetic word to you this morning is get ready! Get ready!
We've been reporting on the bizarre phenomenon that seems to be taking place not just in this country, but all over the world.
The book of Revelation is in peril. Chapter 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants what must soon take place. He made it known by sending his angel to his servant John, who testifies to everything he saw, that is, the word of God, and the testimony of Jesus Christ. Blessed is the one who reads the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it, and take to heart what is written in it, because the time is near. Forever and ever, amen. Look, he's coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the peoples of the earth will mourn because of him. So shall it be. Amen. I am the Alpha and the Omega, says the Lord God, who is, and who was, and who is to come, the Almighty. In a similar way, Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding towns gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. They serve as an example of those who suffer the punishment of eternal fire. Just as it was in the days of Noah, so also will it be in the days of the Son of Man. People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. Then the flood came and destroyed them all. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, no one who is on the roof of his house with his goods inside should go down to get them. Likewise, no one in the field should go back for anything. Remember Lot's wife.
Lot's wife is turned into a pillar of salt for disobeying God. Lot and his daughters flee to the mountains, never to see Abraham again.
And the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and hurled it on the earth. And there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. And the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared to sound them. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down upon the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain
And it's giving you an example of the different prophecies that seem to be coming true. War in the Middle East, pestilence, famine, all these things. And we may not have the spiritual capacity to understand how very connected we are to the great Creator. But when we do cruel, unthinking, selfish things, they do leave their mark upon ourselves and upon our world. Eating animals that are raised this way and killed this way, if you think that that's not affecting you spiritually, physically, and emotionally, then you have just been blinded. Blinded by your appetite and your addiction to what you deem is delicious. But it's affecting you. It's affecting your karma. It's cutting you off from a spiritual connection with the great Creator. It wasn't meant to be this way, and we do not have to eat animals. And I believe, as Pythagoras, who was the father of mathematics and a great vegan, Leonardo da Vinci, Einstein, Thomas Edison, all the very, very most intelligent people on earth, they all knew that eating animal affected us. And what we're doing, I believe, is causing our wars and causing us self-hatred to the point of extinction, and we've got to stop it. I'm Annie Griffin. Thank you for watching Meet America.